It's been a long, long winter in my life. A fascinating, cold, quiet season that lulls you to sleep with its icy song that seems to linger incessantly. I never loved winter. Her cold breath that chilled my every bone. Her stillness that reminded me so much of my own. Her bold presence that seemed to last so much longer than spring or summer ever did. But even then, the cyclical nature of seasons continues to fascinate me, as does the dead of winter. Metaphorical, symbolic, reminiscent of my own cycles of life. I should probably catch you up on the happenings of the past couple of months. Just before the new year replaced the old, I was planning and thinking about all the things I want to do to meet the new chapter of life with a bang. You know, all these wonderful new plans we all think about at least briefly before the clock hits 00, wrapping up the previous chapter, making that big wish. There is something so lovely in it, so hopeful, but life had other plans. 10 minutes into the new year, I got injured pretty badly. Nothing special happened, to be honest, just my talent for falling at most random and flattest surfaces that led me to a few weeks of recovery and limited movement. This set me back a lot, or so I thought. After all, I had all the plans, things to do, places to be.
Lately, my monkey mind is turning over. All the times that knock me off my swing, the break in the chain link.
I felt guilty and worried. Why did this happen to me? Why now? Why am I so unlucky? First moments were full of despair.
I could walk or skate around, but I'm back where I came from.
But as days went on and my own personal winter closed in on me, I began to see it as a blessing in disguise. A complete reset happened indeed, though very differently to how I imagined. As I sat there injured and upset, full of anxiety and guilt about things which are going to stay unaccomplished, I suddenly thought that perhaps this is how my life and all these unfortunate circumstances are forcing me to actually, finally slow down and reassess my priorities. Perhaps waiting for a moment where you're forced to rest is not the smartest thing to do, but is the direct result of ignoring my body and mind for a long time. You know, there is this belief that everything happens for a reason. That is not something I personally believe in. Everything happens to teach us a lesson. I believe in that a little bit more. Sometimes there is no reason for anything. Sometimes bad things happen and there isn't anyone to blame. However, there is always a lesson to be learned. There is always a part of us which needs more love, more healing, more stillness. Without this stillness, without this winter, spring flowers would never come. There would never be summer, and autumn wouldn't ever remind us to cherish these precious, fleeting moments of life. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is give yourself time to rest. If you don't, there might come a time when you're forced to, just as it happened to me. So while I was unable to do much physically, I decided to work on myself mentally. Put all the effort into the part of myself I neglected for the longest time, my mental health and the quality of life. I decided to focus on shadow work, journaling, healing past and present traumas, reevaluating my journey so far. Focus on healing my body and fixing my bad habits that were mainly caused by anxiety. Go on social media detox, switch off all the apps, remove them from my home screen and watch out for my unhealthy consumption habits. Create more, at a slower pace, for the joy of creating, rather than for vanity metrics and fear of falling behind. Going further, I will have to figure it all out, make time for myself, for self-care that I neglected for years. Detach from people, habits and fears. Live fully, take deeper breaths. At the moment, I am at the high feeling that comes from new beginnings. I know it will subside. It already did, to be honest, and now I have to figure out how to turn that into my routine when my body is able again. I know there will be challenges, but it seems that now, as a sort of funny consequence, I have a big wound in my hand, which in turn seems to have healed an even bigger wound in my heart. I want to start this journey together with you. So much can happen in a year, even a month, if you really think about it. I went for a walk on a frosty winter morning for the first time in a long while. My usual favorite footpaths flooded by the river that spilled over its shores. They say it's possibly the worst it's been in over a century, and definitely over the past 20 years. I watched gulls and geese enjoy this newly formed lake over the old castle grounds. Robins and wrens flutter from one frosty branch to another in their only quest to stay alive through winter. To be a bird and to live with seasons, take each moment as it comes unbothered by the worldly troubles. Sing happily in the faint winter sun, float solemnly on a newly formed icy lake, passing days in the inevitable stillness of winter. Only knowing the joy of a current moment, carried in the wings of a passing time. From the cold, hard ground, tiny snowdrops appear as I speak, like green pointy fingers making their way through the darkness out to light. The cold soil protected their delicate little bulbs for over a year, until tiny buds came out to bloom in their full snow-white glory just for a brief moment. And they disappear, falling back to sleep again. That's their strange cycle of life. I wonder, when is it that flowers are most alive? In the restful moments deep beyond our comprehension, or in the impermanent, worldly pleasure of a beautiful sight? Thank you for listening to my story today. I will see you again soon.